Welcome back to BFA's On The Ball show. Thank you to the young gentlemen who came in to share their thoughts on Tower Hamlets Youth League and also Sporting Bengal Academy. From kids to now, we got some granddads on my left. Welcome, guys. Usual pundit. We have Shuel. Welcome, mate. How you doing? You all right?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. So welcome. Faisal, our resident referee from both CFL and Tower Hamlets Youth League, and also a familiar face with everybody here. We've got Sanabai, who is representing, I guess, Osmani and Sporting Bengal Academy today, along with David. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
You all right? Good. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to talk about Tower Hamlets Youth League, but we've also got some more highlights from yesterday's game, and we're going to come back and talk about the under-14s and the under-16s that takes place down at Victoria Park. Let's go and watch some highlights from the game in the under-14s between FC Osmani and who did they take on? Poplar Youth. So let's see what happened over there, and when we come back, we can chat about it in a bit more detail. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. That was FC Usmani yet again. This time they're under 14s doing what they, everybody expects them to do these days, is roll over teams, and Poplar Youth losing 10-0 unfortunately. So unlucky guys, but keep going. The squad was huge, so I don't think numbers is a problem there. It just might be a case of quality. Maybe it's a step up going from 7-a-side to 11-a-side. I'm not quite sure. Sanabai, your boys at Usmani, you're the MD. You write the checks. What are you doing that's right at FC Usmani?
It's a mixture of things actually. It's not just Usmani. We're working in partnership with Sporting Bengal Academy. So majority of these boys, or all of the boys, actually play for Sporting Academy team as well on Sunday. So it works out good for us, both organisations in a lot of ways. So they train and play together week in, week out, and more often. So as I said probably before in the show, the more you train, the more you play together, it increases your ability. It helps you to become what you want to be in terms of the level of play. I think that's the most important thing. Continuous training. So some of these boys started 3 years ago with Usmani, and 2 years now with Sporting, and you can see the fruit after all this. Continuous playing has made a big difference.
All right, let's hold that thought. We've got our first call, the second segment. Familiar voice, I think it is. Assalamualaikum, welcome to BFA on the Ball. I think it's Abu who's on the line. How are you doing?
Walaikum salam. Imran, you okay?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What would you like to say, or what's your question?
It's a shame there was no football today.
There was. We did have some first division
action. There was no football on the PSL today, apart from one game.
No, I don't know where you've been. We had 3 games that took place in the first division today. We're going to talk about it.
When I went in the beginning, there was only one game, the Elsa game. Anyway, just wanted to let everyone know about the Sporting Bengal game. They're playing London APSA on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So if you can let everyone know, I think we need a lot of supporters at the game. It's a local derby. So if I can let everyone know to attend the game, and it will be great for the team as well.
All right, brilliant. Abu, thank you very much as ever, keeping us updated with Sporting Bengal. Yeah, definitely, it's a massive game, local derby. What used to be London APSA, I think they're now called, which seems to be the trend now called Newham. So it'll be a massive game. If you're in the area Wednesday night, hopefully weather permitting, the game goes ahead. I think we're forecast weather for Tuesday and Wednesday, so weather I'm not sure, but keep an eye out on BFA's Facebook page for that. 7:45 usually is the kickoff for at Mile End. Entry will be free for all BFA members, so good luck to Sporting Bengal and Mamun. Hopefully we can get 3 points on the board. Right, Shuel, coming to you, with regards to youth football, obviously you're involved with Saya.
Yes.
You have an under-16s team.
We do, yeah.
Down at Saya. How important do you think the Youth League, Tower Hamlets Youth League, is to community, to Tower Hamlets community in particular, moving forward with regards to thinking about the future in terms of adult football?
I'd say, in terms of adult football, I think we realised this a few years ago with regards to Saya. We had the Saya A and then the B team, and I think in the Summer League this year we put a C team forward, just to give the youth that little stepping stone towards playing adult football, because it's that big jump. And we always talk about that golf. I think we talked about a few weeks ago, from under 16s and then under 18s and then going to adults. We tend to lose quite a lot of the kids in that gap. So what we thought we'd do with the C team is allow some of the kids who are willing to play in the summer against the adults to experience exactly what kind of a step they're going to be going to, because physically it's a lot different. I'd say ability-wise, I'd say things. A lot of the kids did well. They had some good games, tight results. I don't think they got many points on the board, but they did well overall, I think. And it was an experience for them, and they could take it back to the youth. So hence why doing well again this season as well. The kids that are playing in the under-16s this season as well. So yeah, it seems to be working. Okay. And it's for the future definitely, because people like me, like you said, the oldies like ourselves, we do need to retire, and we need people to take our places. And definitely the future looks good for a lot of teams as well.
Okay, Faisal, you're refereeing in the Tower Hamlets Youth League. You've been doing it for a few years now. You're seeing the ability and the standards. Where do you see the Tower Hamlets Youth League? Has it, in terms of its standard, and has it moved on, or are we going in the right direction? What do you think?
I think in terms of standard, we are kind of like raising the bar there. There are really good talented players. Teams are quite structured. They're getting the ability to play in good pitches, which when we were young we didn't have access to. So in terms of the whole structure, the league, and the way they're moving forward, I think it's good step we're taking. So.
Okay. David, now come back to yourself. Obviously, you're heavily involved with youth football and in terms of the structured setup. Going back to what Sanabai just mentioned regarding kids training before, so often playing on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah.
How important is that? And in terms of, because a lot of teams still just come and turn up on a Saturday or a Sunday and just play without training during the week. But in terms of having structured sessions, in your opinion, where do you?
You've just got to play. Me myself growing up, all I did was play football. So it ain't necessarily about having structured sessions that you do. You got to get used to the ball. You got to see the ball as your best friend. I used to walk to the shop with my football. Like little things, just trying to dribbling it in and out of people, just trying to learn the game. Just try to be a student of the game. Okay. Just try and learn as much as you can. Just try and do your best. So that is the basics that I can give anybody.
Does that mean, in your opinion, that you think football has become too structured, or are we losing the fun factor?
I think it's become too glamorised in the sense that it's more about who you're playing for, what you're doing, as opposed to your ability. So I think people are more, like I said earlier, they're too obsessed with who they're playing for and what they're doing, as opposed to honing their skills and wanting to become better. So I see a lot of kids now that you would think they make it, they've made it. I work in primary schools, and they say, they talk to each other. It's like, okay, you don't even play for a football team, like that and things like that. And I play for this team and I play for that team, and it's like, okay, all right, but what are your football skills actually saying? So it's about getting their mentality back into loving and wanting to play football, and not thinking that, okay, they got the attitude of, people say, big time Charlie attitude already, when they should just be focusing on playing football and trying to be the best they can be, not already thinking that they've made it. Because the reality is the competition's so fierce.
Of course.
So
talking about competition, just give us, in terms of, surely you must be working for Charlton and doing this, being in the scouting setup. In terms of numbers, so I'm sure a lot of parents out there, we've had one call already in terms of where do they go and how do they work with, in terms of the next step for their child. What is the ratio in terms of the number of players that are playing football compared to those that who actually get signed by the academies? Do you have any numbers that you can maybe throw at us?
Well, my nephew recently got signed by Charlton. He got a scholarship. He's 15. He got his scholarship a year early. They signed him up, but in his he plays for the under 16s now. They've got a squad of, say, 16 players, maybe 17, 18 players, and only 4 of them are going to get offered scholarships.
Only 4 out of 16?
Only 4 out of 16.
And when you say scholarship, just define what scholarship is.
If you go to a normal academy and then you get signed, you might get signed until you're 16. Basically, that means you're in a proper academy. From the time you reach 16, then they'll decide if they'll offer you a scholarship, which then takes you from 16 to 18. So when you leave college, when you leave for college, they effectively take you on as a scholar.
Okay.
And you stay there full time. You also go to university, you do your university degrees, or you study there as well. When you're 18, then it's decided whether you get a pro contract. Okay. So that's how the step goes.
Oh, so it's at 18 they decide whether.
It depends how good you are as well. Yeah. So they might offer you it earlier.
What's the youngest you can get offered a pro contract?
Some people get offered it at 15. Some people get offered it. It really depends on how good you are. Pro contract, I think, it's at 16, but some people do it at 15. Depends on the country as well. But it depends on how good you are and how the club can tie you up. So they might not put you on a pro contract, but they'll put you on a contract to make sure you're tied down, basically for a certain period of time.
Okay. All right. Coming to you, Sanabai. Now, you're involved heavily. And Faisal, the question goes to you as well. You've seen it. We were talking about Tower Hamlets Youth League and the ability and the standards and where they're at. Have we gone backwards? Have we gone forward? Sanabai, you see it. You do a lot of work within Tower Hamlets with the job and working for Osmani Trust. How far are we from this level scholarships and pro contracts, and what does it require?
A lot. Listen to David where he's saying out of the 16 in the academy, only 4 get the scholarship. And to get to the academy, the ratio is really, really, really high in terms of, I would say, almost non-existent in a lot of ways, because the competition's really huge. We think we're just competing against each other here. It's not. It's all over the world almost. I mean, clubs are signing players from different countries into the academy, not just England and so on. So the competition is huge. So the percentage-wise, we really can't put a finger on it in terms of how low it is. So as David said, it's all about working yourself, becoming a better player, not to concentrate on what you can be in terms of looking big time already. It's about be the best you can, and then hopefully if you're good enough, a scout would be there to pick you, because I think we're still a long way away. We're a very long way away, because the level out there is the gap between the levels are huge, and I've seen it in a lot of ways when I went to academies and how they train. The level of the children there and the level we have is quite huge. It's very huge. You can probably get one or two, probably mix it in somehow, but after that it's going to be even harder than that. And we did have one or two kids that went to pre-academies and sort of like Centre of Excellence, went in there for 6 weeks and so on, but they wasn't able to maintain it, because if you see not just the technical side, even the physical side, they're huge. They're almost like adults at 13, 14. So you got very big competition, unfortunately. But the thing is, we shouldn't worry about becoming a pro straight away. As I said, it's not about that. It's about making the best you can. The more you get to the level you can yourself, and let the others fall in place automatically. Because if you're good enough, scouts will come for you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you should always compare yourself to yourself. Don't look at other people. Just try to be the best you can be. So if you had a good match last week, try to be better than try to do the best you did last week. If you want to improve your left foot, just make sure you're improving it week by week. Just try to compare yourself to yourself. Don't look at other people.
Okay.
Just try and do the best you can be, the best you can be.
Right, Shuail and Faisal, in terms of, in your opinion, now we've talked about youth development, but as a child going in 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, a lot of that development is down, especially playing in the community leagues, is down to the manager. In your opinion, this question goes out to all four of you, in terms of what kind of qualities do you feel is required to make a good youth team manager? Faisal.
Well, I mean, first of all, a manager has to be organised. I mean, he needs to know his players. He needs to have X amount of players ready to play, willingness to turn up on time, commitment basically, and being disciplined. I think commitment, discipline, and willingness to work hard on the pitch. That those three factors in managers that they look for, and if they have that character, then obviously they can succeed. The players together, they can all succeed as well. So I mean, we need players with discipline. They want to be turning up, saying to the manager, I want to play, and the manager not having headache to think who he can put on the pitch or has he turned up. The majority of the problem we have in our community is when managers take charge, players not turning up to play, and it becomes this headache chasing everyone. So managers
away
are ready.
from that, that's a separate issue. But Shuail, in terms of your opinion, I know you're not managing a youth team, but you've
I'd say even if I just talk about adults as an example, I think it still boils down to the same little factors. I think the manager's main responsibility is keeping a unity together with the whole squad, because everybody's got to have respect for each other and at the same time want to be there for each other. Because when there's 11 people on the pitch, whether you're on the sidelines or you're on the pitch, the manager needs to establish. We do as a management team with Saya that on the pitch, off the pitch, we're all together. So your moment could come at any time. But I think it's keeping that fun factor and that enjoyment factor, especially at that age.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I think there is a difference between youth football. There is a definite difference between youth football and adult football. And in my experience, we saw it yesterday. In the youth league, when I go down to watch other teams, you have to draw the line. Sanama, you were going to say something in terms of...
Yeah, so I was going to say, in youth football, managers are essential in terms of how they operate. The winning factor has to come out of it. It has to be totally based on development.
That's what that's the answer.
Until the managers think alike in terms of, it's not about this game, it's not about winning the league, it's about developing the player, we are not going to reach where we want to reach. Because the problem we have, it's not just across Asian, it's across the whole board of English football. It's about win, trying to get the players to go and win the game, the fastest and the physical one. Unfortunately, that fast and the physical one, when they reach the age of 16, 18, others catch up. So their technical ability goes out the window because they haven't actually worked on that. So realistically, what we should be doing as managers and coaches is work on the development side. Never mind the win. It's about getting them all involved and letting them have fun as much as possible. But most importantly, they're developing their technical ability. The structures football, the winning comes afterwards. It's about building what they have. Unfortunately, in England at the moment, or across the board of UK, it's always been the case about winning. And you can see that in international football right now. England are far behind in terms of their technical ability, the way they play football. Yes, they have got the physical strength, they've got the power pace, but do they have the technical ability to hold the ball longer than other teams? I'm talking about teams that are not in the top 20.
All right. Well, that's a whole new topic in itself. But David, yourself, with regards to the difference between youth football and adult football, in literally you got a minute. But what is the difference? And in your opinion, what are the key things? There are 3 things that people would listening to the show would take away. Any young managers out there, what do they need to focus on?
Youth football, you can't compare the two. Youth football now.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't compare the two.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
I mean, Senna's absolutely right. If you're managing the youth team, it's got to be about their development. It can't be about win-win. A lot of the problems I've seen with even when I'm coaching the under 11s is where they're playing and they're looking for guidance on the other side. So they're looking to be told what to do when they should be on the pitch making their own decisions. You know, so we've got to stamp that out. We've got to give them the confidence, give them the belief,
let them play,
give them the creativity, let them play, let them enjoy the game. You know, that's we've really got. I mean, we've got to really let them enjoy the game and not concentrate on the winning.
Okay, right, we're out of time. It's flown by. Like we're out of time now for youth football. The first and second football, as usual. We've been slightly different today. We have handled and had lots to talk about with regards to kids and how we should develop our boys. And you've heard it here, guys. Let the boys play. I know winning is important, but when we're talking about under 12s, under 10s, under 8s, and 14s, etc., just let them go out there and enjoy it. If they win, brilliant. If they don't, move on. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to talk about CFL. We did have 3 games that took place down at Wanstead today from the first division. We can come back and we've got some good news. So one of the teams out there, come back and we can talk about them in a bit more detail. Enjoy the break and we'll see you in 2 minutes.